Morning, everyone. Let's get started. Okay, before we start the session, a question for you. Why do you want to learn SQL and Power BI? Yeah, so what you can do is you just introduce yourself, your name, and if you're working somewhere, where are you working? And why do you want to learn SQL and Power BI? Okay. Yeah, proceed, please, anyone.
Experience 6 months experience of operations. I want to learn the SQL and Power BI to transition in a data analyst role.
Okay. Data analyst role. Perfect. Yeah, that's awesome.
Myself, currently working with Sangeeta with so I want to learn SQL and Power BI to enhance my skills in data.
Enhance your skills. Okay. Perfect.
And recent father, SQL Power BI and data analyst.
For the data analyst purpose, okay. Online participants, you also just introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Ravi Kishore, and I have around 16 years of experience in the operations role. I am trying to learn the SQL and Power BI to understand the data related concepts.
Data related concepts. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, sir. This is Ganesh. I have a 6 years experience in accounting. I want to move to the like reporting role. So
Reporting roles. Okay.
yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. Others also, please.
Yeah, good morning. This is Sandeep. I have 13 years of experience in accounts payable. Currently, I'm working for Open Software Services as an accounts payable analyst, and I want to upgrade my skills. And I want to looking for data analyst role.
Okay. You want to upgrade your skills. Okay. Thank you. Yep.
Good morning. I'm Ratnashree. I'm currently working as a QA automation tester in Express Scripts. For coming to learning SQL, I wanted to change in the career growth. For that, I'm interested to learn in SQL.
Want to learn SQL. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sirisha. I will. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sirisha. Like, I want to try a job on SQL and Power BI in data, like a data analyst. I would like to start with this.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, a few more are there. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So myself Rakshit. So I have total 8.5 years of experience. Being in people manager role, we deal with a large amount of data, and we represent our. We prepare the monthly business reports to the higher management. So wanted to learn the Power BI and SQL to enhance to have the reports look more appealing, and also
Okay, we want to create more appealing reports. Okay. Yeah. I see a few more. If you could introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jyotirmay. I just want to start this career. So I want to learn Power BI and SQL.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Raja. I have 11 years experience. I'm looking for a data analyst role. Now I'm working as a TIPCO middleware administrator.
Data analyst role, okay, thank you. Yeah, anyone else? Looks like we are. Yeah, Srinivas, go ahead if you want to. Okay, so let me introduce myself also. I'm Kishore, and it's been 16 years I'm into this reporting analytics and process automations. Yeah, worked with so many companies and earned so many Microsoft badges. I work with right from basics of Excel to advanced Excel, VBA macros, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, ClickSense, ClickView, SAP Crystal Reports, SAP Business Objects, Power Automate, Power Apps, different things, and worked in revenue cycle management, US healthcare, financial data analytics, ITSS analytics, contact center analytics, different teams, different domains. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer from since 2021, and I'm a I got like almost all Microsoft Office certifications, the expert badges, multiple certifications. I've cleared. I'm a PL300 Power BI certified data analyst associate by Microsoft. Deloitte Faculty Excellence certified. So that's my skill graph, and they are my certification badges. Maybe looking at this, don't think I'm from technology background, because I deal with a lot of programming stuff and the dashboarding and databases and things like that. But I'm from non-technical background. I'm from BCom MBA Finance. I work with different teams and currently managing Excelytics here. Earlier, I was with Quadratics. They are into AI and ML, and I was a senior consultant there for the data analytics teams. Was with Deloitte as an assistant manager in reporting and analytics, UHG as a process automation expert. Prior to that, I was with iSpace as financial data analyst. Okay, so yeah, it's been a long journey. Learned so many tools, technologies. Yeah, that's briefly about me, and I'm going to take care of this particular batch, both SQL and Power BI. There is a reason why we made it like SQL and Power BI combination, okay? So if you want to create a report, right, a simple question for all of you. If you want to create a report or a dashboard, what is that you need? Data, that's it, right? So usually you find these data sets, or you find data in Excel files, CSV files. But when you get into a bigger company, you find this data in databases, right? It could be any kind of a database. It could be a SQL database, or MySQL database, Oracle database, or Sybase, Teradata, DB2, whatnot. There are so many RDBMS available, okay? So if you want to get the data from any server, there is a common language used, which is SQL, Structured Query Language. So that is the reason we made it like a combination, because if you want to create a powerful report or a dashboard in Power BI, you need to get what first? Data. So you should have that skill of extracting the data from the databases and then present it. For the presentation purpose, you may want to use Excel, Power BI, Tableau, ClickSense, SAP Crystal Reports, SAP Business Objects. There are so many reporting tools or dashboarding tools available, right? So that is the reason we made it like this. And if you see this, and then you can understand it easily. So you may be working here as a reporting analyst or a data analyst, or some kind of MIS analyst. You may be using Excel or Power BI or Tableau or ClickSense, right, for your reporting needs. For all these reporting tools, you need what? You need data. So where is the data? The data is there in the databases. It could be any kind of a database, be it Microsoft Access or Teradata or whatnot, right? There are so many different databases available. Good thing is that all of them, whatever I'm showing here, they are RDBMS, relational databases, okay? So where the data is stored in the form of tables that have the relationship. So we'll talk more in detail about them, okay? So if you want to create a report, We understood that we need the data and the data is there in the databases. So how can I interact with the reporting tool with my database and get the required amount of data? So there is one query language needed. SQL, structured query language. So we pass one SQL query, then it hits the DBMS, the database management system. It's a software application that manages the database, and it can go to any of these databases. Okay, different servers are available. It can, let's talk about Microsoft SQL Server. So it goes to that SQL database and it gets us the required amount of data. And once we get the data into our reporting layer, then we can create different types of reports or dashboards. Right? That is what we do. And in SQL, there are so many concepts, right? So right from, developing the database and up to setting up the user, setting up the security and all. But we don't need to focus on all those different queries as a data analyst or a reporting analyst, or if for that matter, even if you want to go to the data science next level, then you just need to focus only on the data extraction, right? Because as a data analyst, we don't get any opportunity developing a database, even if you have that skill, right? We usually get a read-only access, not a read and write also. The reason being, as a data analyst, our job is to extract the data and present it using any of the tools. That is what. So that is the reason most of the times creating new objects in the databases are restricted, okay? From the data analyst standpoint, if you see this, we usually get read-only access. We don't create any new objects. We don't change anything inside the database. Whatever is there, we extract it and we report it. So as a data analyst, we also need to understand our limitations of work as well. Even though you have read and write access, we are not supposed to change the values inside the databases. For that, there are different teams, okay? Our job starts only once the data is available inside our OLTP, OLAP systems. We'll also talk about, okay, what is OLTP, what is OLAP, and what is the purpose of having two different types of systems, okay? So as a data analyst, we interact with either of the systems, either OLTP, OLAP, mostly OLAP. I'll also explain that. Once we, get the access to that OLAP, we just write the required queries, we extract the data, we present it. That is what our job, right? We don't create anything, we don't manipulate anything inside the databases. So that is our limitation. As we understand, we are here to just extract the data. This course is designed, the SQL course is designed only for the reporting and analytics. When you talk about SQL, people just, they cover everything, right? Including, database design, the ER diagrams and, how to gather the requirement and so many things. We will also discuss those points, but our focus is mostly on data extraction, right? There is no point learning other things, in detail also. Why? When you are sure that you are not going to use it, what is the point in learning it? I mean, that is how I learn things. If I don't need it, I don't learn it, right? But having some idea about that is recommended. At least, you will understand sometimes the data, you're trying to extract and the server is not at all responding, right? I'm not from the server administration team, but I understand why sometimes the servers, behave little weird. I have that knowledge enough, right? So I can't go beyond that point. I no need to go beyond that point and learn something more about the server administration. Because as a data analyst, I know my roles and responsibilities. I'll take you through what all we do as data analysts in the upcoming sessions. But just to, give you that overview, we are limiting this particular course only for the reporting and analytics. Whatever is needed from the server side, only those simple points we'll discuss. And the user standpoint, how the users are created or how the securities are set up, how the transactions are managed inside the databases. We'll have some little idea about them, but we don't focus much on them as they are not part of our roles and responsibilities, right? So that is the reason we named this course as SQL for Reporting Analytics, right? This is not a DBA course. It is not for the database administration. It is not for the database development. Once the database is available, how to extract the data. I think, now it sets the context, right? Perfect. So we'll be using Power BI as our reporting tool here and SQL as our data extraction language. And we interact with the SQL Server databases, which is again a Microsoft technology. Everything is like Microsoft here. Power BI is Microsoft, SQL Server is Microsoft, be it Excel also it's from Microsoft. So for that matter, once you learn SQL, you can interact with any of the other databases too. There are different variants of SQL I'll take you through shortly. But in our training program, we learn TSQL, Transact SQL, because Microsoft SQL Server uses or understands the variant TSQL. There is Oracle SQL, ANSI SQL, MySQL, different variants are there. But good thing is that all these variants, they look very much similar. 95% of the commands, they look same. 5% here and there, you need to learn the other commands. I'll tell you my own experience. When I learned SQL, I learned Oracle. Okay. But when I started working with my client, I started working with MySQL. Now I'm delivering sessions on T-SQL. That doesn't really, make much difference, right? So all the commands, they look very much same. A few commands here and there, but most of the things, they look same. Okay. Right. With that, I hope you got some idea about, what is SQL, why are we using it? Because in any bigger organization, it is not possible for them to manage their data in simple spreadsheets like Excel or CSV formats or, any other format. So the recommendation is use a database for more security and easy to access from anywhere so that, you can have a better control on your data. Right? For that matter, what is that they do? They implement any of the databases in their organizations. As a data analyst, it is no more, so far you may be working with simply Excel, but as a data analyst, it's just not only the Excel as a data source, you need to interact more with the databases, right? That is the reason we need to learn SQL also. Most of you may have this question, okay, I'm from a non-technical background, BCom or BSc, and I don't have any computers knowledge. I just learned only Excel, but can I learn these SQL queries and all? Absolutely, yes. Because SQL looks very much similar like English, right? Similar to English. And it's like easy to read also. We'll talk about that step by step, okay? Yeah, I see your response, Srinivas. Thanks for that. Fine then. So you understood, right? Why SQL is needed to do the data extraction. Okay. So moving on to the next one. Let me take you through the course contents. So we start with what is database and what is RDBMS. Most of you may have questions on these things also. So we'll start from there. And as I said, we use Microsoft SQL Server and we install Microsoft SQL Server 2022 Developer Edition. Not 2017, 2022 Developer Edition, which is the most recent one. And we also work with SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, which is currently, I think, 20.2 version. So that is there. That is also for free. So we learn how to connect our client with the server. So we are going to work in a client and server environment. So we understand what is a server, what is a client, what all applications can be used as clients, how to connect our clients with the servers, and how to start interacting with them to extract the data. So we'll be learning all these points, but you get a question, just now you said our job is to extract the data, right? Why are you making us installing the SQL Server or, installing SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, which is a client application? Why do I need to do this server administration part also? Simple thing. You're going to install these things in your system, right? And you are going to be the admin of your server. In organization, we don't get this role. Right? But if you want to practice the SQL queries and all the tests that we give, you need to have this environment set up in your system also, right? So that is the reason we learn that, but we don't spend much time on this. It's like easy stuff. One day we learn like how to install server, how to manage the server, how to restore the databases into the server. But this is all done usually by the server administrators and database administrators. But here as a one-time, stuff, we need to do this, right? Fine then, so we understand what is SSMS. This is our application. This is where we write SQL queries. So that environment should be there in your system. So that's the reason we learn on the first day, or actually in the second day. On the second day, we learn how to install SQL Server and SSMS. Okay. Once that is done, we create a database, we restore a database, we drop a database. Different things are there as per, as far as the database creation is concerned. But again, we will limit ourselves with this topic also. There is a reason. What is that? We don't create databases. But it is good to have some idea how the databases are created, how the space is allocated to it, right? So we'll do these things also, but simple things, okay? We don't get into the complex database designs and all, because that will, that topic itself takes so much of time, right? And as I said, we're going to use the variant. Which variant is it? TSQL, Transact SQL, structured query language. So this is where we understand the different types of commands: DDL, GML, DQL, DCL, TCL. And we spend more time on the DQL, the data query language, right? We have only one command here, select, but along with select, we have so many clauses, joins, unions, right? You need to understand the difference between what is a table, view, and so many things are there as part of DQL, because our job is to do the data querying, data extraction, right? Okay, so we'll spend some time on each and every type of command, but we spend more time on the DQL, because as a data analyst, our job is to extract the data and differences between each language and how to create a table. Again, I'm repeating this point. We are not allowed to do these things in our real time because we can't create new objects inside the databases. However, it is good to have some idea how the tables are designed. Why? Because while extracting the data, you get so many questions. Okay, what is a primary key? What is a foreign key? What is a null value here? Is there any chance that we get a null here? How to take the count from this column? So many things as part of reporting also we will get. So to have better idea about the table, it is first of all better to design a table and see the different keys and constraints that are implemented or that are enforced on the tables and columns. So that's the reason we spend some time on table design as well, right? This is where we talk about the metadata, nothing but the structural information about the table, data about data, we call it metadata. We'll try to understand that and how the keys and constraints are enforced on these tables. In Excel, it's like very easy to create a table, right? How do we do that? Just open a one Excel spreadsheet and you type, all those headers and some data and just apply a table format, Control T and done. But in SQL, table design is not that easy, okay? Because you will have to, first of all, discuss so many points before creating any table, like how many columns should be there, what kind of data you want to store. So the data points that you're storing inside the table, do they really make some sense? Or are we, making any duplication in the data, right? Do we really need to have these many columns in this table? So many questions will come up, right? After answering all those questions, then only we create a table. It's not like an Excel spreadsheet. You just simply open it and you type whatever you need. If you don't need something, what is it we do? Simply delete it. But in the SQL database tables, it's not that easy to simply delete something. That easy. Implementing or executing the command is easy. But that implementation part has so many dependencies. You never know how many other columns are actually consuming the data from this column. You get the point? So once your database has somewhere around 300, 400 tables, because these tables are related database, right? That's what we discussed. These tables have the relationships. If you are moving or deleting one column, or if you are changing structural information of some table, this may affect 20 other tables also. Everything has connections, right? So you need to be really careful. It's not as easy as managing a table inside Excel, right? So many things are there. We'll also talk about that. And data types, in Excel also we learn the data types like, Excel handles numbers, text, date, time, logicals, and errors. So here also we have the data type. Someone who is coming from the programming background, you understand this easily, because there also we have the strings, longs, floats, right? Double, single, variant, objects, and different data types there. So similarly, while designing the SQL tables, there are different data types available, because each and every column you need to mention which data type it should accept. Let's say employee name is the column. Employee name is the column. So what kind of data you want to store there? Alpha or alphanumeric, right? So that means it's a string data type, text data type. In SQL, we call it nvarchar, the data type name. So we'll talk about, okay, what is that? Text or strings, numeric, small numeric, big numbers, small numbers, and all. And moving on to once the tables are designed, we understood the data types to create the columns and enforce the keys and constraints there. And then once the tables are ready, what is the next thing? You need to input the data. You need to update the data sometimes. You need to delete the data sometimes, right? So the data manipulation language will come into picture. DML. You see that, the flow. DDL. we define things, we create objects, we create the tables. Okay, once the tables are ready, the next one, DML, data manipulation language. Here, we understand insert, update, delete, truncate commands, right? We insert the data, we update the data, we delete the data, we truncate the tables, right? So how these things are going to help us, we'll see them. But again, we don't need to spend much time on this. Why? Because DML is not our job. Who does this DML? Any idea? Data manipulation.
Database developers.
Database
Database
developers, definitely they will have to use because they test some, a few of the transactions, whether they are successfully inserted into the tables and all. Right. But most of the times these DMLs are okay. In terms of the commands, they don't execute, insert, update, delete, but the data entry operators are there, right? They don't write queries. But whatever they do in the front end application, it is as good as they are inserting, updating, deleting only. Right? The data entry operator's job is insert, update, delete only. But you get a question, do they write any SQL commands to do this? No, they have the front end applications, right? Let's say there is a shopping mall and there is a billing counter. So in the billing counter, what's happening there basically? Insert, update, delete only. Right? So let's say you buy something, they scan the code and let's say they generate the bill. Nothing but one transaction got entered into the database. So do they write any insert statement there, insert SQL command there? No, what is it they do? They have a front end application in their system and they interact with that application. Okay, this is the product, this is the quantity, this is the rate, and this is the price, and this is the bill amount, and this is how it is paid, and generate the bill. Right? So they use the application, but in the background of that application, it triggers one SQL query, insert into so and so transactions table. These are the values to be inserted as a new record, and this is the invoice number. You get the point? So they have the front end application. They don't interact with it, but the DML commands are mostly performed by the data entry operators, but not in the form of SQL commands, but from their application. You got the point? So you see so many billing systems around, right? Do we also do the data entry? Are we data entry operators? Yes, sir. Are we data entry operators? No? No, we strongly believe that we are just data analysts. We don't do data entry, right? But hold on. Day-to-day life, we all do a lot of data entry. You did any GPay or UPay transaction today or yesterday? You did that? You know what did you do? Data entry only. Yes or no? Yeah. Let's say you bought any ticket or something online. Yes. What did you do? Data entry only. We all do that. We all do a lot of data entry, right? So earlier we used to go to bank and do these transactions, right? To do any money transfer or something. Now I think it's been a while that we all visited a bank, right? Why? Because earlier the bank, employees used to do the data entry for us, but now we are doing it ourselves, right? Just open an app and we are doing the data entry only, right? So every transaction that you are recording is basically out of a data entry activity. You got the point? Yes, we also do that, but in the organizations, there are dedicated teams to take care of this data entry, right? And this can be done in two ways. One thing in the back end, using SQL queries, insert, update, delete. The other one is the front end. The data entry operators, they work with the front end because they may not be the programming experts or SQL experts to pass these commands. What do they get? They get an application because application has one UI there, right? User interface, and using that UI, it is easy for the data entry operators to input the data into the system. Got it? Yeah, DQL. This is where we spend good amount of time because this is our job. Tables are ready. Data is entered. Now what is that? We need to extract and analyze it, right? So this is where we understand select, command, and along with that where clause, having clause, group by different aggregate functions we apply, different, unions, joins we do. So many things are there as part of the DQL. But yeah, these are the commands we usually see that, how to handle the nulls, how to, work with the table aliases, column aliases, so many things are there. So this is where we definitely need to spend some time, right? And while retrieving the data, we also use these built-in functions like string functions, aggregate functions, mathematical functions, information functions, logical functions, and different types of functions are there. And we'll be using them as well, right? When you are looking at these things, date functions, time functions, text functions, I think you get something into your mind. Excel also has these functions, right? Yes. If you are good with Excel functions, learning SQL functions is easy because syntax and all, it looks very much similar, right? This is why I always say this, let's say, if you are good with SQL, you can implement these functions very, very easily in SQL itself. Let's say if you are not so good with SQL functions, once you get the data into Excel or Power BI, there also you can apply functions to get the same kind of result. It's up to you where you want to implement these functions. But the recommendation is if you can implement these functions at SQL level, it actually improves the performance of your report because your reporting application doesn't need to process all those calculations to show them to the end user. While getting the data itself, if you can implement these functions, the final result will be loaded into your reporting tool so that end user experience would be little better. So they don't need to wait for these calculations to happen. Okay. So we'll implement these functions and joins, very, very important. Okay. Why joins? Because in the real time, the data is not stored in a single table. The data is stored in multiple tables and that have the relationships, and these relationships are created using the primary keys and foreign keys. So we'll talk about that, how to use those joins, what type of joins are there, left join, right join, inner join, outer join, cross join, self join, different types of joins are there. We'll talk about one by one. And set operators, union all, intersect, except, right? So this is all about gathering the data from different tables into the result set. Okay, so we'll talk about all these concepts. Subqueries, writing queries inside queries. This is also very important for us. And in few of the instances, we can use a subquery instead of a join. So when to use a subquery, when to use a join, what are the key differences between subquery and a join, right? These kind of things we'll discuss. Views. One more very, very important thing from the data analysis standpoint, views. View is a virtual table, right? So it doesn't hold any physical data. They don't occupy much space. As a data analyst, most of the times we get access to the views only because views are read-only. You get a question, why do we get just read-only access? Why not a read and write access? What is our job? Whatever is there, extract it, report it, right? So why do we need a read and write access? We just need only read-only. Correct? Yeah, view, the purpose of creating a view, how you can set up a better security with the help of a view, all those topics we'll discuss. The other thing, security and transaction management, though it is not part of our role, we'll just explain you like, how transaction management, techniques help us to manage your data well, how to roll back the transaction, how to commit the transaction, how to do a save point, and different things are there. When it comes to the security, user creation, how to grant the permission, how to revoke the permission of an user, right? All these things we'll discuss. So as I said, most of the things we covered here about the DQL part, right? We spent some good amount of time, right? Other things also there just to get some awareness about those topics, but we don't try to master it, right? I'll tell you a simple thing. You want to learn driving a car, okay? Your focus should be gears, yeah, accelerator, brake, clutch, that steering, how to control that, and signals, right? Certain things. But we don't try to repair or learn repairing an engine or any other things, right? But that basic troubleshooting is needed as a driver. right? We just need to understand like, okay, where is the battery? Where is the engine, right? That is enough. If your focus is to become a driver, you just only focus on that driving related things. There are other elements also in the car, right? But we don't try to master them. Even if you try to master them, so how frequently we get into that situation of repairing a car, that also matters, right? Yeah. So focus only on data extraction. Other things, yes, definitely we'll show you those concepts just to get some awareness, but we don't need to master them. Clear? Okay. Moving on to Power BI. So once we are done with this, we'll, let me cover this part. We initially start our sessions with SQL, going to be around 15 days, right? Maybe 13 to 15 days, depends. And we'll be giving you exercises and so many things are there. We'll also suggest like what kind of certifications you can go with. In the first session, I'll discuss that. And this is going to be in the morning time, 7:30 to 9 o'clock. This batch number, SQL batch number is B00670, right? Anything related to this SQL batch, you can mention this number so that material related, videos related, WhatsApp updates and all you will be getting there. So the first part is SQL. And once we are done with SQL in the 13 to 15 days of time, then the next part will move on to Power BI, right? Then I'll show you how these SQL commands can be directly implemented in Power BI to get the data and create the reports. Because extracting the data set is one part, but you have like 10,000, 20,000 or 1 million or 2 million rows for that matter. So you have like so much of data, but you can't present that data directly, okay, to your top management saying, okay, you just take a look at this data. What is it they can do with that, right? So what is that they expect? Some visuals, tables, trends, projections, forecasting, right? So these kind of things can be done using any of the reporting tools or dashboarding tools, you can say. You can use Power BI, Tableau, Excel, Google Sheets, or some different kind of tools are there. So in our sessions, we took Power BI as our reporting tool, okay? So coming to Power BI, again, someone who comes from no reporting background also, it's okay, because it's very easy to create the reports using Power BI. The interface also looks similar to Excel, easy to learn, okay? So what is business intelligence, history of business intelligence, and so many things, very, very basic concepts we start with. And then we'll move on to getting the data. While getting the data, you can get the data from SQL or Excel files, CSVs, PDFs, web pages, whatnot. You name anything that data connector is available, we just connect to that and we read the data from there and we create different types of visuals. But as the first step is to get the data and do the data transformation. So what is this data transformation? You would have heard this process, ETL, extract, transform, load. So we extract the data from the database, we transform the data into the required shape, and then finally we load the data into Power BI, right? You may get a question like, this ETL is done by the data engineering team, right? Okay, so they do the database level ETL and we do the reporting level ETL, because whatever the data they store inside the databases, that may not be, directly suitable for your reporting requirements. We need to again do the transformation. Let's say if you're not happy doing a lot of data transformation, you can actually place a request to the data engineering team, because whatever the data you're storing inside the data warehouse is not supporting my data analysis. So you better transform the data into this shape and store it in a table so that I can directly consume the data from there, right? That is also possible, but that usually takes some time, because anything, any implementation at database level will take some time. So what is it you can do? You can perform those ETL activity at your report level also. We'll talk about that as well, right? So for that ETL purpose, we have something called Power Query. Okay. So what is this Power Query? How to understand it? So many things are there. We'll discuss that. And then so many concepts like appending, merging, right? You see so many similarities between the data transformation that we do here in Power Query and SQL. Because SQL has joins, Power Query has merging. SQL has union, Power Query has append. Okay, so many things. Fixing the metadata issues in SQL also we do this. In Power Query also you can do this. So after learning SQL, learning Power BI becomes very easy because most of the concepts are similar, right? But the terminology is little different there. Okay, fine then. And once we are done with the data transformation, we move on to the data modeling. This is where we try to understand what is a key, what is one-to-many relationship, many-to-one, one-to-one, what is the filter direction, how to set up the new tables inside the model, right? How to connect all these tables, how to create ad hoc tables, or how to set up the sorting, hierarchy. So many things are there as part of the data modeling. Once the data models are ready, we'll move on to the visuals. We create different types of visuals. In Excel, you see a few visuals, maybe around 30, 40 visuals. But here in Power BI, we have standard visuals are there around a 30. And then on top of that, you can download hundreds of custom visuals. We'll show you one example today, how easily you can read the data and, you can create a visual, right? And how to get the custom visuals from app source, right? You can download them. And once the visuals are ready, then we'll move on to slicing and dicing, how to use the filters, how to use the slicers, right? Drill down, drill up. And one more very important thing is DAX. Okay, we create this visual slicing and all, it's okay, but business may want to understand certain metrics, okay, KPIs, the key performance indicators. If you want to show those numbers on the screen, in the background, certain formulas to run. Okay, these are DAX functions, data analysis expressions. Okay, we spend some good amount of time on DAX also. We try to understand what is DAX, what kind of formulas can be created. Again, we have the text formulas, logical formulas, filter formulas, date time formulas, time intelligence formulas, right? Iterator formulas. So many things are there. Again, someone who is good with Excel formulas, understanding DAX formulas also very easy. Okay, because whatever the names that we use in Excel, those formulas are there, right? The same formulas are there in DAX also. Okay, so we'll talk about that. And there is a very powerful formula called calculate. Calculate, okay. So this helps us in changing the filter context. We'll say, we'll talk about that, in the sessions. Finally, once the report is ready with all those required, DAX functions, visuals, slicers, and everything, then what is it we need to do? We need to publish on Power BI service. So this course covers both Power BI desktop, the report development, and the Power BI administration part, nothing but the Power BI service. There we publish the report. Okay, you got a question, why do I need to publish the report? Usually in the traditional reporting, what happens? Let's say if you are an Excel report developer, so you get the data from SQL Server or someplace and you create a beautiful report and like a dashboard you create it with the slicers and everything, with all the calculations. And now you need to show it to your management. What is it you do? How can we give access to that Excel report? You share it via maybe email.
Email or Teams, yeah.
Teams, or maybe if you have a common shared drive, you just drop the file there and your manager can go there and open it. Yes, this is how we manage, right? Normal Excel reports. But in Power BI, you don't need to do that. Once the report is ready, just click on publish so that it will be published onto Power BI service and they can see whatever the updated numbers are there in that report. You got the point? Right. So we learn how to publish and how to view them on web or mobile or tab, right? And how to export those visuals and all these things, how to set up automatic refresh also. Let's say today you created a report using yesterday's data. Tomorrow you will create a report using today's data. So what is it you do? A lot of manual efforts, right? Every day you go to an application or a database or you query, get the data, put that into Excel, reload all those, refresh all the pivot tables, just check all the calculations are working fine or not, verify the output, and then finally share it with your management. The entire end-to-end process of this report, getting the data up to this, showing it to the end user, entire thing can be automated in Power BI. Every day morning, 8 o'clock, you can set up a schedule there. 8 o'clock, your Power BI service will trigger, right? A refresh. Automatically goes to your source, refreshes the data, right? And gets all the updated numbers. And then automatically that data will be pushed to your Power BI service report. And when your manager opens around 8:05 or 8:10, they can see updated numbers there. You no need to manually do anything there. So we'll talk about that process also, how to schedule the reports, right? And while viewing these reports, there is one very important concept that comes into picture, RLS, row level security. So what is this row level security? You know, if you are, I think most of you are already Excel users and you create the Excel reports and all. Let's say I have one profit analysis report and that has 5 regions data, east, west, south, north, and central. And each region has a regional manager. And you need to share this report with these regional managers. Okay, what is it you do? You simply open an email and you say that, okay, south manager, west manager, north manager, east manager, and the central manager, and you attach this profit analysis report and you send it. Great, done. But hold on, your management gives you a very clear direction saying that north manager should be able to see only north data. South manager should be able to see only south data. Then you need to create 5 copies of the same report. Okay, these 5 copies, they contain only their respective regions data. But you need to have a 6th copy also. Let's say a CEO wants to see all 5 regions data. That means you need to maintain 6 copies. So is there any chance that sometimes, you know, in that hurry, like, you know, next 5 minutes you have a monthly meeting and just now you prepared the report and now you made like 6 copies of it. Is there any chance that a south report could go to a north manager? Yes, no.
Yes.
Yes. In that hurry, you may attach some file, but the email address you may type someone else. You understand what kind of a mess it can create, right? So what is it we need to do? We need to be, you know, even though we want to be little careful, sometimes these things do happen, right? So what is that? The better way of handling these things is setting up the RLS in Power BI. So to log into Power BI service, you need to use email address. We'll talk about that, how to create that account and all. When they use that email address, automatically with their email address itself, it restricts the user to see what kind of data they are authorized to see, right? We set up the roles there, right? So RLS is again a very powerful concept. We manage the roles and we set up the RLS there. So this covers both Power BI desktop and Power BI service, both of them, both development and administration part, right? So this would take about a good 1 month time, you know, a good 20 to 23 sessions, right? All these sessions, they run from Monday to Friday only. Of course, we started on a Thursday, but Monday to Friday, you don't have sessions on the weekends. But for the weekends, we give you some homework and you need to complete them before attending the next session, right? Fine then. So the batch number for now for SQL, as I said, it is B00670, right? That is a number. Anything related to SQL, you can reach out to the front office with that number, then they will help you. And whatever the material I am showing on my screen will be uploaded to the Google Drive, and from there you can download it. Okay, so be it SQL material or Power BI material. Okay, Power BI material will share in the Power BI batch. For now, SQL material will be shared inside this B00670 group. So from there you can download it. And SQL Server installation, SQL Server Management Studio, the client installation will we'll do in our second day of SQL sessions. And after the 13 to 15 days, we'll move on to Power BI. In Power BI, again, we spend a good 20 to 23 days, right? Right from the Power BI report development and how to publish it online. So all these things we will discuss, right? Yeah. Any questions so far before I show you a demo, like how to read the data using SQL queries? Okay. Any questions? Online participants, any questions?
None from my end.
No.
Sure.
No.
Okay. All right, then. So let me show you how I can use this client application SSMS.
Yeah.
So
Dale.
Right, I'm using SQL Server Management Studio. So you will also install this. I'll show you the steps how to install this, how to connect to the server. There are so many databases in my system, but in your case, there may not be any databases. We'll show you how to restore these databases and all. I'll just write a very simple SQL query here, right? Select star from, probably would have learned, these kind of things in your college days. Select star from EMPR employee, and you execute that and you get the data, Even, yeah, during my graduation, I think in the final year, there was Oracle, okay, one of those subjects. So they showed us a few queries, select star from so and so, or select star from DEPT, something like that. I used to think like SQL means only that one line of code. That's what I used to feel. But later, entering into the real time, understood like a SQL query, you can actually write a 2-page, 3-page query, right? That gets executed in one go, right? We'll talk about all those things, but we start with a very basic querying like select star from, what is that star, right? How to get this data. The same kind of query, how it can be implemented in, Power BI, right? We'll also see that. So I want to consider this as E, and I want to do a left join with the DEPT table as D, and the common key is employee dot DEPT ID is equal to department.depgt ID. And if I execute this gets me both the columns from all the departments table and employee table. You get a question like, what is that left join and things like that. So absolutely, you don't need to worry about them. I'll take you through all these things. I can use Excel as my client application for that matter, okay? If I know SQL directly to interact with SQL tables, I can directly go to the data and get the data from a database, which is a SQL Server database. I have a server in my system. You will also have this server, okay? But in my server, my system name is KK Laptop and database is EMP. And I'll directly write that SQL query here. Again, just copy paste, and even Excel also can read the data, okay? And then you can load it. You get the data, right? And after that, you can insert a pivot table, and you can show something like each designation wise, what is the total salary paid? Yep. Right? You don't need to worry about this data even if someone deletes it. Why? Because this data is not manually entered into Excel. It is directly coming using a SQL query. And if I simply say, refresh this query, again, I'll get that data back. And I can just need to, refresh this. That's it. You got the point, right? So Excel also can be used as a client application. So we learn so many techniques like this. Excel, most of the times what we see is just input some data, right? Or copy paste some data from one place and then create a pivot table and create a report. Not that. Actually, you can automate this process also. You can directly read the data from SQL databases directly into Excel. Not only into Excel, if you want to create a Power BI report. So using the same technique, if you are good with SQL queries, you can write those queries directly in Power BI also, right? I'll take a blank report. And I want to get the data from SQL Server. Right. Here also have the same platform. So if someone is good with Excel, they can easily do the same thing in Power BI as well. Yeah, this is a preview of the data and I want to load this. And once the data gets loaded into this, I can create different types of visuals. Okay. So Power BI has almost every data connector. So different types of data connectors, for that matter, you can also get the data from a web page directly, right? Yeah. So if you want to, let me show you the advantage of using a Power BI report instead of Excel. We have different types of data sources. SQL is one of the data sources, okay? and web pages are there. If I want to use a COVID data, see that I'll directly connect to a web page, and this is going to be coming, this is going to come from a website, okay? Load it. This is the beauty of Power BI. It can read the data from any source, and you don't need to be a reporting expert to create the visuals and all inside Power BI. With simple English questions, also you can generate the views, okay? So I'll just do a double click there. There is something called Q&A, okay? So first time it takes some time to understand the data. Next time onwards, it's like easy. I can ask a simple English question here. Let's say COVID data is what we loaded, right? So in that COVID data, I have, country name and the new cases, how many cases are reported. Then I can ask like total new cases. Okay, total new cases. Yes, I want to see that number worldwide, how many total number of cases are reported. Okay. Yeah, these many cases are there, and let me just turn that into a standard visual, and yeah, 778 million cases are there across the globe. But I want to see it by the country, total new cases by the country. Okay, so I'll ask this question here. I want to see total new cases by country. You see that? A simple English question can generate a view like this. Right? But I'm not happy the way it is showing. I want to see it on a map. On a map. Okay. Okay, here we go on the map, each and every country, and India has about a good 45 million cases. You see that? This much easy it is. You just ask a question and it can generate a view for it. Right? You don't need to be a reporting expert also to do this, right? So these kind of things can be done easily, right? And basis on the region, let's say someone manages US data and they should be able to see only US data. So we will create a view for that person with the help of RLS, row level security. So many things are there, right? But here, once the data is inside your reporting tool, yes, you can do all these things. But to get the data, you know that, right? You need to interact with the database. So this skill also very much needed, reading the data from the databases, right? Okay, I'd like to show you in Power BI. I can also get a few visuals, something like this. There is something called animated bar chart. So many things, I'm just showing you a couple of examples here. I want to get an animated bar chart race that shows how the COVID cases, growth was. Let me show you that. I want to use the name as country, value as cumulative cases, day by day how the number has increased, and period is date reported just by the date I want to show. And I want to show the top 15 countries. Right. If you observe, China was the one initially reported the cases, right? Yeah. But slowly, other countries also have started reporting the cases. Initially, these were in like few tens, but China started reporting numbers like in thousands, right? Every day, a good number of cases. Other countries had any, 5 cases, 10 cases initially, right? But slowly, even other countries have, started facing, right? The growth in the numbers, a significant growth in the numbers, and a rapid growth in the numbers, right? So you would have seen these kind of charts, LinkedIn, Facebook, analyzing different kind of data sets, right? You can also create this. Hardly takes any 1 minute to set up a chart. Okay. But yeah, after China hitting 80,000, right? You see that other countries, Italy suffered a lot, right? India was I think that point in time, India was nowhere in the picture, right? Where other countries are reporting thousands of cases. Yeah. India is still not there. We are looking at the top 15 at this point, right? Spain got into the second place, and then Italy and Brazil is there now. Have you seen these kind of things? Yes. You can also configure these kind of charts, right? These are not the default charts of Power BI. India is here now, right? After that, we never look back, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, again. So these kind of things can be easily set up using Power BI. But for that, we need to, first of all, learn how to handle this data, how to extract the data. And once the data is extracted, it's up to you where you want to present it, right? So client installation, server installation, we'll discuss all these points, right? As part of SQL, let me just go back once to the SQL topics. We'll start with understanding OLAP and OLTP systems, the two real-time systems that we see, online transaction processing and online analytical processing. Why do we need these two systems, right? In offices, what kind of a system you get, right? Is it OLTP or OLAP, right? We'll discuss those points. And then we'll move on to SQL concepts. Okay, why one should learn SQL? What is a database, right? What is SQL? What is SQL and SQL Server? As a client, what kind of applications we use, which database server we use, and what is that physical database, how to read the data from there, how to write the data retrieval queries, data storage queries. We'll spend some time. So what is RDBMS, the Relational Database Management System? What are those 13 rules proposed by EF Pod? We call them voice code rules, right, for the RDBMS. Advantages of SQL, right? You know, it probably this would answer most of the questions. I can share my real-time experience back in 2010, 11. Yeah, that point in time, I was working as an analyst on physician performance analytics, analyzing US hospitals data. We used to have SQL queries, right? But they are like standard SQL queries. But anything extra, if you want to get, you need to place a request. To who? IT team. Because we are not the SQL experts, right, to write the queries, right? That point in time, only Excel is a tool, Excel and PowerPoint. But look at this situation. Your client works in US and you are in India and you do the morning shift, and end of your shift, your client logs in, right? So let's say Monday evening, there is a meeting and client requires so-and-so. Okay, Monday evening. And your IT team works in 9 to 6 shift. Okay. And you work in 12 to 9 shift because you need to have that 3 or 4 hours overlapping time with the client. So we have a meeting around 8 o'clock in the night, right? You sit with the client, you understand the requirement and you write down everything and you write an email to the IT team. This is the data set we are expecting, right? When this IT team will pick up that request, let's say Monday evening, if this meeting happens, Tuesday morning when they come in, they see that email. And again, for every request, there is a 48 hours of TAT for them, right? That means they no need to pick it up right away. And they can pick it in any, within that 48 hours. Now we see the situation here. They come 9 o'clock, they see the email. Okay, we have some time. We'll pick that up on Wednesday. Okay, because they got time. They got that SLA, the service level agreement. Okay. They pick it up. They on Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock. They look into our requirement and they create one SQL query, a complex SQL query, and they run the query and they share that result set, either in a CSV format or an Excel format, right? When do we get it? By afternoon of Wednesday, right? And our shift starts around 12 o'clock, right? So we just log in and we see that, okay, we got the data. But we have other works also, daily works also, right? So we pick that up around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. And client definitely asks for an update on Wednesday evening, stand-up call. And we say that, okay, today in the afternoon, we got the call, we got the data. And we completed all our regular, work, and just now we started working on it. And the client says, okay, great, go ahead. So we prepare a report by when, let's say Thursday, around 3 o'clock, and we share it. Client won't be able to see it because client is not there in the Thursday evening, afternoon, 3 o'clock. And client logs in around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening. So we send the report. So Thursday evening, they see the report. And right away looking at the report, they can easily say that, okay, these numbers are incorrect. They don't even need to look into the raw data also. Why? Because they are the operational experts. They know that this particular number ranges only between 1 to 2. That means it is always 1 to 2 only. It cannot go beyond or cannot go lesser. You see that? Because they are from coming from the operations background and they know their data well. So they simply say that, okay, this number is not looking right and please check your query once. And then we write an email back. Because client looked at that report around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the evening, and the night before we leave, we write an email to IT team saying, okay, so client saying that the report is incorrect, look at the query and this is our requirement and, please check that. IT team definitely takes it as a priority because it is like an escalation from the client. And when do they see that? Friday morning, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. They look at it and they definitely take it as a priority, right? And they respond back saying that, okay, we applied XYZ filters, ABC filters, and MNO filters. And we asked like, okay, why did you apply the XYZ filters? Because it's usually, from your team, anything that comes, there is a guideline that we need to apply this filter. But for this requirement, we don't need it because client specifically told us we don't need to apply this additional filter. There is some conversation, right? That is done. And then they run the report and we get the data. On top priority basis, we create the report and we share it. If that can be done by Friday night before we log out, great. If not, Monday. And client sees that report Monday night. One simple requirement, you see that if you have a dependency on other teams, why we were struggling to get a simple output like this? Because we are not a SQL. We were not SQL experts at that point. But what if you learn SQL? Do you really need to reach out to any other team? No, you just need to get the access to the database and you sit with the client. You understand the client requirement and you write the query. You write the query. Get the data. You will understand what is the data it is giving us, and it is after learning SQL. Actually, company sent us that sent for that SQL training, and we learned it. We got some idea. We understood how it is working. Then that's it. No, sit with the client. Okay, we sit with the client around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. We got like 1 more hour time. We write that attempted query. We send it the right data right away. Even something goes wrong, client comes back on the very next day. Right, this is what happening. You don't need to wait. Get the point? You can write a better query. You don't need to depend on others. Right? That is the whole idea learning this SQL. Right? And why Power BI? I would like to show you a simple example. Power BI is all about data visualization. You know that already, right? I'll show you a very simple example here. Then we'll wrap up the session. Why we need to learn Power BI? Power BI, as we know that this is all about data visualization. And we spend some good amount of time on understanding the different types of visuals also in Power BI. Most of us have these questions, okay? When it comes to the visualization, we don't know which type of visual to be used. Most of us, including me. A few years ago, I used to find it really challenging to choose the right type of visual. Because few of the dashboards, when you see them, you don't even need any special explanation about that. Why? Because looking at the report itself, you can figure out this is what's happening, right? But a few of the reports, when you see, they create a lot of confusion. Even though each and every information is there, you don't find it easy to read and understand. We struggle, right? That's because of the visual selection, right? We'll spend some good amount of time on this also, right? So which type of visual, when do we need to choose them, right? So coming to the visualization, data visualization is very important for us, right? Let's say if you just write in a SQL query select star from the transactions and get me this data from the SQL. Yes, we get the data, but we cannot share this data with the top management, right? We need to present it, right? So how do we present it? We know that, right? We can summarize it with the help of a pivot table. So business asked me a simple question here. We want to see the profit by region. So in Excel also we create the pivots in in SQL also we can create the group by statements and all. But let's say profit by region is what we want to show. Just give me a sec. Yeah, profit by region, your business wants to see. And do we have the region? Yes. And put that in rows. Okay, that's it. Your summary is ready and your business may be finding it easy to understand than this raw data, right? If you show this raw data to the business and you tell them like, okay, this is how we are doing. But do you understand like how the profits are there across the regions? Are we doing good? Are we doing bad? Don't have any idea, right? Why? Because looking at the raw data, you cannot draw the, directly insights from there, right? So unless you summarize it with the help of pivot table or a pivot chart. So pivot tables, definitely great, but let me prove it sometimes why they go wrong. Okay, I'll give you 5 seconds. You need to tell me this. Which region has the least profit? Time started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one is it? Central? Who is central manager? Chris? Okay.
South.
Which one is it?
South.
Oh, someone say south. Which okay, how many of you go with central? I understand different answers I was actually expecting. All of you are central. Okay, one online participant saying south. Other participants? One saying south. Okay, rest everyone is saying central. Let's do one thing. I'll create a visual, a chart on that pivot table. Then let's see. I'll give you 2 seconds time this time, okay? Select a pivot table, go to insert and take a chart. 2 seconds. Which region has the least profit? 1, 2.
South.
South. But when I gave you 5 seconds, most of you said central, right? You know why? Now you will understand why. When I gave you only 5 seconds, looking at the length of the number, but it is actually 287,000 and this is 231,000. Just because of the decimals, you are confused. We're not looking at the decimals. You got the point? But visuals, now you see, easy. Got this? Right. So this is the reason in Power BI, we learn how to visualize the data, right? Because when you look at numbers or tables, we still get confused, right? Visuals and colors that make our job easy to take the right decisions. Got the point, right? So this is what we are going to do as part of both SQL and Power BI sessions. First of all, we'll spend time on SQL to do the data extraction. So just doing the data extraction is not enough. We need to visualize the data for easy understanding purpose. So that is the reason the next step is Power BI. Clear? Any questions?
Sir, we can use multiple files in Power BI like PDF, Excel, or TXT in one go to show.
Correct. You can read the data from different sources. We have different examples, right? One of those things in our data sources also will use a multi-source example. It can come from a CSV, PDF, Access database, Excel file, a SQL. We combine all of them into a single data set. We'll also talk about that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my system doesn't support the latest version of Excel. It supports up to 2000. You can do that, but there is no lot of dependency on Excel version. So 2013 is kind of okay because we're not going to use Excel a lot. Only for the data source purpose we use, but other things we'll be doing either in SQL or Power BI. So that should be fine. But my recommendation, if it supports only up to Excel 2013, I think Power BI, okay, you may be using an older version. So Windows 8 or Windows 10 or 11 is recommended for Power BI. So you may need to consider this point when it comes to Power BI. Excel, we don't have any much dependency. Yeah. Any other questions? Great then. So the batch number is B00670, and you can reach out to the front office if you require any additional information. I'm just dropping that number here in the chat window. You can reach out to this number or this number, right? So get the access to the material package, and the videos will be uploaded shortly. Right, daily basis we'll upload the video also. After a couple of hours you can expect this video. Right, not for today because we did not discuss any technical stuff today, but going forward, if you want to take the reference of the video and you want to practice, you can watch it and do it. Okay, fine then. So thanks for joining today's session. I'll see you all tomorrow. Yeah, just in case if you require any additional information, reach out to the front office and they will help you. Yep, thanks everyone. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Now.